G'day and welcome to another edition of Money Matters. Today I'd like to touch quickly on renting versus buying. So which one puts you on top of the property ladder? With growing concern out there, especially with Gen Y regarding housing affordability, which many people out there, especially the first home buyers, the issue of whether to rent a home or buy is more hotly debated than it's ever been before. Certainly as property prices rise, maybe along with interest rates and also mortgage repayments, many young Gen Ys out there are concerned that they have missed their opportunity to get into the property market altogether. Some commentators out there basically are saying that the housing markets are just too expensive, so it makes more financial sense to rent rather than buy. So what's the best way to go for you? The answer is everyone's circumstances are totally different, but you need to ultimately compare both the pros and cons of all options out there. So firstly, why would we look at the renting market? Well, obviously the major flexibility out there with renting is that you can find something that suits. You can freely relocate from one home to another, and you're basically not tied into things like rates and mortgage repayments. Quite simply, you make your weekly rental payment obviously to your landlord, and ultimately that ends up being your full obligation. Good in one way, because you don't have a mortgage hanging around, you don't have the headaches of maintenance to do with a property, but bad in that you may be missing out on capital growth with the property. And ultimately that's something that only you can decide whether it's important to you. For many young professionals out there, obviously their lifestyle or their career could also dictate that they prefer to live in an inner city location rather than an outer suburb. Again, maybe these inner city locations are a lot more expensive and more expensive to what you can afford. So that's also another reason where rents may actually suit you rather than buying and taking out a mortgage. However, renting also has many disadvantages. The most obvious is uncertainty as whether you'll be able to remain in the property for the long term, or whether the landlord will kick you out ultimately to do something else with the property. Generally, tenants have very little say in how long they occupy a rental property, and it's ultimately up to the landlord. So what you need to do is to work out what your lease is all about and how long it ties you into it. The other side of the equation is actually buying a home, and the true Australian dream of doing that. It gives you more of a certain sense of stability. You choose how long you wish to live there, as long as you make your repayments to the bank obviously, and you can make improvements to your living space, maybe do something in the backyard to add value to the property, and it's ultimately what you're doing is creating equity. And equity is quite simply where the value of the home minus the amount that we owe to banks equals your equity. You're building your capital growth. Renting costs you money, while home ownership actually can make you money because of this equity equation. Obviously, how does it work? You pay off your home loan and the value of your property increases. Therefore, the more equity you own. In fact, on average, well-located properties in Australia supposedly double every 7 to 10 years, providing a pretty good return on your initial investment and your deposit obviously, and that increases your net wealth. Also, most people out there take out a home loan for a term of 25 to 30 years. Many homeowners, however, certainly through other strategies that we've discussed through other little money matter editions, basically pay off their mortgage much quicker. And this is from wage increases and also bonuses or maybe once-off windfalls. So what it basically means is that you're paying off your home and building your equity, which can give you some financial freedom later on in life. Of course, some would argue that buying property comes with additional costs that especially the younger out there simply can't afford. And that's such as keeping up for the home's upkeep or maintenance. It will be rates, insurance, and the list can go on and on. And on top of that, if interest rates increase, so too do the mortgage repayments that you may possibly be required to do. The bottom line though is that the difference between buying a home versus renting a home will make someone else's net wealth and cash flow better in their lifetime rather than yourself. There are many arguments for and against this area of renting and buying a home has the potential to make you wealthy, even though it might cost you a little bit more initially and especially in the short term. On the other hand, renting will make your landlord rich and put a smile on their face. Just remember though, it's all about buying well and buying at the right time. I hope that this has helped you a little bit to help analyse whether renting versus buying is for you. But again, feel free to visit our website at zjl.com.au, and there are many fact sheets available around property and also other areas around money that may help make your decision a little easier. Thanks for joining us again on another edition of Money Matters.